Stay informed, stay aware, stay safe. WDAM 7 is tracking Ida. This.
Good afternoon. You're watching WDAM 7 Midday. I'm Vanessa Pacheco.
And I'm Carrie Leggett-Brown. Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to track the latest on Ida and her path. Let's go ahead and send things over to Patrick Bigby right now for the latest. Patrick, what can you tell us?
Well, I can tell you that Ida is continuing to weaken now. It's a low-end tropical storm. And let's go ahead and give you the latest update from the National Hurricane Center on the storm. Right now, as of the 10 o'clock advisory, we get a new one at the top of the hour. It was 40 miles southwest of the city of Jackson, the center of the storm, 40 miles southwest of Jackson. Winds right now are 40 miles an hour, although I doubt there's any sustained winds anywhere near the area that are at 40. So this storm is rapidly weakening. Good news there. Pressure coming up now to 996 millibars, and it's still drifting off towards the north at 9. We're still seeing cloudy skies across the area, and those clouds are going to be hanging around for the rest of the day. Currently 78 degrees at Petro Nissan, gusting up to 23. Winds are going to stay breezy at times this afternoon. You can see just how fast those clouds are streaming by out at Magnolia State Bank. 77 degrees out there. Winds out of the south-southeast at 21, gusting to 28 miles an hour. Almost 4 inches of rain up in Laurel, and they're still getting some rain right now. You can see the winds are pretty whipping out there. Out of the south now at 26, and winds are still gusty out at Walt-Massey Ford in Columbia, currently gusting to 40 miles per hour. So it has been a rainy day, and we are seeing those wind gusts come down some across the Pine Belt this afternoon. I'm going to go ahead and step back. If the computer will allow me to do that. Maybe it will, maybe it's not, maybe we're just, there we go. I thought we might have to have a geography lesson on the state of Mississippi. It's tired too, exactly. All right, winds right now gusting at 23 miles an hour in the Hub City, winds gusting to 34 in Bay Springs, gusting to 18 in Sumrall, and gusting to 40 right now in McGee. Now we'll take it wide and look at what's going on across the region. As you can see, Tropical Storm Ida, a lot of heavy rain and thunderstorms, most of the threat now moving into Alabama. That's where the tornado threat now shifted. It's in Alabama, and it's going to stay there for the rest of today. The heavy rain threat is over for the Pine Belt, and as the storm continues to weaken, the winds will come down as well, and that's some really good news for us. Still, though, we got a few flash flood warnings out, but those are going to be expiring pretty soon. And like I said, the biggest tornado threat now in Alabama, where that big blow up of thunderstorms is. But as you can see, we'll still be watching for some sprinkles to move through the Pine Belt over the next few hours. Now, coming up in a few minutes, we're going to take a look at what you can expect for the rest of the afternoon and look ahead. I got you covered in your full forecast, and alongside with meteorologist Aaron Thomas from WMC in Memphis, we got you covered here in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you so much, Patrick. And taking a look around the Pine Belt this afternoon, our Brandon Walker has been checking out any flooding issues and damage in the Hattiesburg area. He came across a tree limb split from a small tree at a home on South 15th Avenue. This is in no way significant damage, as you can see, which is good. Lots of water on the roadways in this neighborhood, but Brandon did not see any flooding issues in this area as he drove the WDAM 7 storm tracker. Brandon did find a usual place for flooding along Highway 49 South in Hattiesburg. This is near the painted William Carey overpass. You guys are probably very familiar with this. HPD officers were on the scene to alert drivers to the water issue on the highway. This is a spot that tends to hold water because of the dip in the roadway. We expect more rain throughout the day, so this could be a troublesome spot for you again.
Meanwhile, this is a neighborhood near University Boulevard and Cheyenne Drive in Jones County. As you can see, a tree snapped and then fell into the street, blocking traffic. The tree brought down some power lines, creating an outage for parts of the neighborhood. Emergency responders are aware and will be making repairs as soon as possible. And speaking of Jones County, let's take you there right now. Will Poston has been in the area checking out the damage and getting a look at what's going on there. He's live right now, so let's go ahead and check in with him. Will, how's everything looking out there?
County, things are starting to calm down a little bit whenever it comes to the weather. Definitely not as rainy and windy as it used to be, and you're starting to see a little bit more cars out on the roads. You're starting to see a little bit more businesses start to open. A little bit you can see behind me, but in some situations it's like how it is behind me here. We have roads that are cautioned off, and we have roads that are flooded. And a lot of damages around here in the areas, and a lot of roadways have been closed off. In fact, there's a whole list for both Jones County, Hattiesburg, and a lot of other areas that are on our website right now where you can check out some of the road closures and everything. But as of right now, things are definitely a little roughed up here in Jones County. You're starting to see a lot of debris out here. in the roads with leaves and everything such as that. Also, a lot of tree trunks and a lot of power lines that are down. As you can see right here, the power lines are going down, and a lot of people are losing power and electricity. But the volunteer firefighters and everybody else, first responders, are out here and they're doing their best to try to make sure that the roads are safe and that everybody is getting their power as quick as possible. Now, I've been able to talk with a little bit with the Jones County EOC as well as the Jones County Sheriff's Department, and everybody is, again, still trying to tell everybody to limit transportation as much as possible. Now, if you do not need to go somewhere, please do your best to not go somewhere, because you can end up on a road like this, and that is not somewhere you want to be right now. But we'll send it back to you in the studio, live in Laurel. Will Polston, WDAM, on your side.
Thanks for that, Will. Down on the Gulf Coast, Ida didn't spare the area when it comes to flooding, rain, and winds. You can see the floodwaters rushing through this Hard Rock casino in the city of Biloxi. Heavy rain and storm surge pushed water into the area, flooding a nearby highway. Hurricane Ida made landfall exactly 16 years to the day after Hurricane Katrina ravaged Louisiana and Mississippi.
A possible tornado touchdown in Mississippi Sunday as one of Hurricane Ida's powerful rain bands moved onshore. You can see the devastation left behind in the city of Gulfport. Local emergency managers reported seeing a funnel cloud, and a tornado warning was in effect for more than 30 minutes. Near the coast, trees were uprooted and several large branches were broken off, and the strong winds. The National Weather Service has not yet surveyed the area to determine if a tornado did in fact touch down.
Meanwhile, police cruisers blocked the road on Interstate 55 as Entergy crews worked to clear a large power line from across both lanes of traffic in Macomb. Take a look at the steeple on top of First Baptist Church in Macomb. Overnight, winds from Ida rocked the steeple. Officials warned residents to stay off the roads as crews continue cleanup efforts around the area. Let's go ahead and check back in with Erin Thomas, who is standing by with the latest update in your forecast. Erin, how are we looking?
We are starting to see some more of that dry air that is continuing to move in right now, but that doesn't mean we're in the clear just yet. We are still going to be watching for bands of heavy rain to continue, especially for areas north of Hattiesburg this afternoon. So timing it out here with our first alert futurecast, you can certainly see by 1:30 we could still be seeing some heavier pockets of rain. And then notice as we're heading into this afternoon and this evening, we start to see a little bit more that's redeveloping here. We've got daytime heating. We've got a lot of humidity out there. So heat really fuels these storms, and so it's possible that we could see some additional heavy pockets of rain. And again, we do have a tornado watch that is still in effect through 4 o'clock this evening for areas that are to the east. So that tornado watch means that conditions are favorable, but as we head into later on this evening, this is midnight tonight, we're really going to start seeing that dry air continue to filter in. But still, for the time being, looking at some breezy and some gusty conditions out there. We've got wind gusts 43 miles per hour there in Collins. That's the highest wind gust we have right now. Then notice over towards State Line and down towards Lucedale, looking at 30 mile per hour wind gusts. So they're starting to see some of those winds slacking off for right now. But as we're heading into this afternoon and this evening, these tropical storm force winds can still continue. Then again, generally by tonight, overnight, and into tomorrow morning, starting to see those wind down. But even still, by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, we could still be looking at breezy conditions at times with those wind gusts 20 to 25 miles per hour. And then we'll finally start to see things wind down throughout the afternoon. As mentioned, that tornado watch does remain in effect for Wayne, Greene, Perry, George, and Stone counties until 4 o'clock this afternoon. Still, some of those areas further towards the east, of course, have been really dealing with some of those extreme storms, especially down towards Biloxi. I will say we've been very fortunate in this system in that we have not seen a whole lot of severe storms come out of it in the way of those tornado warnings. A tropical storm warning, excuse me, as mentioned, does remain in effect right now for the entire Pine Belt. Again, we're looking at tropical storm force winds that will continue as we're heading into this evening and overnight. But the good news is some drier air is filtering in, but still we will be watching for the potential to see some additional showers that could develop later on this evening. So something, again, we'll watch very closely here in the WDAM First Alert Weather Center.
Thanks for that, Erin. Thousands of Mississippians woke up without power this morning. Currently, Mississippi Power has crews out in several areas working to restore power as quickly as possible. I was able to speak with Northern Division Manager Michael Harvey and got this update. Going into this morning, I'm sure Mississippi Power has been extremely busy today, but going into this morning, like how many power outages were y'all seeing today?
It's been a busy weekend, and we prepared all weekend for this event, knowing that it could be a worst case scenario. And so as of this morning, Mississippi Power, our service territory, just under 9,000 outages, but here in the Pine Belt, around 1,000. Our system held up extremely well under the circumstances that we faced with the hurricane force winds down on the coast and the tropical storm winds we received here in the Pine Belt.
I know it's extremely hard for the crews to be out there working to restore power, but what do you want people in the Pine Belt to know, people that are obviously Mississippi Power customers, what do you want them to know at this time?
Yeah, so our crews worked through the day yesterday into the night, and we got to a point where it was unsafe. We pulled them back in, but we hit the ground running at daylight this morning. We have a very safe but aggressive plan. So we've got outsourced resources coming in. We have over 1,000 resources to assist us in our restoration efforts. So we're just asking our customers to be patient, to please stay off the roads. A lot of water on the roads. And when you enter the work zones where our crews are working, that just increases the hazards from a safety standpoint. So just, again, be patient and please stay off the roads and let our teams do what they're trained to do.
I appreciate y'all at least taking out this time to, just give us this information. Again, I know we know y'all are busy, and, just taking a few minutes out of your time, we truly appreciate it.
Well, we're happy to help.
All right, and MEMA's Director of External Affairs, Mallory White, took some time to give the Pine Belt an update on what MEMA handled right now. And she also says MEMA wants to know if you have damage to your home, and if you have the capability, I know power is out, but if you have the capability, this is how you can tell them. What reports or what things have you guys been hearing so far this morning? I know you said around 2 a.m. things really started to pick up. So what have you been hearing so far?
This is going to be an all-day event for Mississippi, and it's going to be a statewide event. And we do know that our friends on the coast, and especially in the southwestern portion of the state, they're dealing with widespread power outages right now. And we anticipate those power outages to continue up through the central and northern part of the state as well. So just be prepared for prolonged power outages, and just know that these linemen are going to work as quickly as they can when the conditions are safe. I know a lot of people are wanting to know, well, what about damage? What are you seeing right now? Right now, the conditions are just too much for us to go out and be able to do damage assessments. We will have MEMA personnel on the ground on the coast and in the southwestern portion of the state. We're going to be talking to people in shelters and asking them what their unmet needs are. We currently have roughly about 27 shelters open with a little more than 500 people in them. We actually anticipated more people to seek shelter, and so maybe this is a good indication of just how little of an impact it will have on those individuals. But as soon as we can, we will have our drones flying overhead, so we can go ahead and start those assessments, the overhead assessments, and whenever conditions get better, then we'll get on the ground and do boots on the ground type of assessments. What we're looking for, and people at home can do this right now. So if you are already experiencing damage to your home because of Ida, go to msema.org. We have a tab on the top of our website. It's self-report. Find the county that you live in, and then fill out the report. We want to know what type of structural damage you're seeing to your home, but we want to see roof damage, damage to your walls, the integrity of the home. We're not really looking for trees on fences and things like that. What FEMA will look for is how many homes are destroyed or have major damage.
White says the main message MEMA wants to pass along is stay at home. White tells us the last thing hospitals need right now is to be overrun even more. So unless you are an essential worker, White says stay off the roads.
And we want to remind you to make sure you have our First Alert Weather app downloaded to your phone. You can get alerts straight to your phone from our weather team, plus a live look at a radar as we continue to track Ida this afternoon for you.
And
Go ahead, Carrie.
All right, thank you, Patrick. Time right now is 12:14. Coming up, we continue our newscast with the latest track of Ida, which has downgraded to a tropical storm. And Patrick now has a full check of your forecast.
Yeah, that always helps to not step on someone else's toes. Yeah. Right now, we're seeing things start to improve. Still can't rule out some showers later on this afternoon. We got to look at what's going on now. We'll look ahead coming up right after the break. And welcome back, everybody. We are still tracking Ida out there across the state of Mississippi. Thankfully, our impacts are starting to wind down, but the storm itself still continues on. Right now, the center of it, as of 10 o'clock, was located about 40 miles southwest of the city of Jackson, and it's pretty much now right on top of Jackson as it continues to drift off towards the north at 9. This storm is nothing but a shell of what it was about this time yesterday when it made landfall near Port Fourchon down in Louisiana. Right now, winds are at 40 miles an hour. It's moving north at 9, and the pressure has come back up to 996 millibars. But you can see all the activity now is off towards the east in Alabama towards Mobile, and there was another squall line out into portions of central Alabama. All right, so here's what's going on in our neck of the woods. Live look, Petro Nissan on top of the hill, the west side of Hattiesburg on the Alpha Insurance Camera Network. 78 degrees out there at the moment. They've picked up almost 4 inches of rain, but still, though, it is kind of breezy. Winds are gusting out of the south at about 23 miles an hour, but we're starting to see the roads dry up. So we did pick up a lot of rain yesterday, but the roads are starting to dry up, and that's some good news there. Conditions are improving. Still cloudy, though, as we take a live look out in Petal at Magnolia State Bank. They're currently sitting at 77 degrees. Winds out of the south-southeast at 21, gusting to 28 this afternoon. We'll head up to Laurel. Their conditions are a little bit lower. They're still seeing some light showers roll through the area. Winds out of the south at 16, gusting to 23. 4 inches of rain up there, and that's just since midnight. So 4 inches of rain in 12 hours. That right there is a lot of water coming out of the sky. And currently out at Walmassie Ford in Columbia, 76 degrees, winds gusting to 40 miles an hour at the moment. All across the viewing area, we're seeing some breezy conditions, more so off towards the north and west. Up towards McGee, winds are gusting up to 40 miles an hour, gusting to 39 at Columbia, gusting to 43 in Collins. But notice Summerall, conditions a little slack, a little bit kind of lower there. They're gusting to 18 miles an hour. Winds gusting to about 31 in Brooklyn and 31 out towards the Waynesboro area. But all the heavy rain and thunderstorms that has been associated with Tropical Storm Ida are now sliding off towards the east. So that's some really good news right there. That's taking the tornado threat, it's taking all that heavy rain threat off and away from us. So that's some really good news. We got some drier air kind of wrapping in on the backside of this storm. So the tornado threat now shifting into portions of Alabama where these two squall lines are. The first one out here towards Andalusia, out towards Butler County, Alabama, and the second one out here in the portions of Washington County, Alabama, and Mobile County as these slide off towards the east. So that's where the heavy rain and tornado threat is going to stay really for the rest of the day. I can't rule out something maybe strong popping up later on, but the good news is everything is kind of winding down as we go into the afternoon hours. So we're looking good. A few showers starting to redevelop out towards Laurel, kind of out towards Whistler, Equipment, out towards the Waynesboro area, and even out towards Stringford, and that's going to continue to slide off towards the east. We saw a ton of rain across the viewing area. Let me tell you, it was absolutely just a lot of rain across the Pine Belt, anywhere from 2, 4, 6, 8 inches of rain, and no big problems in our neck of the woods compared to what they saw in Louisiana. We saw a lot of rain up here, but look at this, 13 inches of rain, closer to 14 inches of rain down towards Hammond and towards Ponchatoula and those areas as well. So they got a lot of heavy rain, and the good news is no flash flood warnings remain in effect, but we still do have that tornado watch until 4 o'clock. This is why I'm saying for the majority of everything is shifted to Alabama, but I can't rule out maybe one or two storms getting a little robust later this afternoon. So that's why there is that tornado watch for areas east of I-59. So here's why we're saying that. The Futurecast has been showing this basically since yesterday. We'll see some redevelopment later this afternoon, and we could see 1 or 2 of these storms getting on maybe the stronger side. There is a lot of spin still in the atmosphere since Ida is still so close, so it wouldn't take really much to get a quick spin up in those counties. But we're still going to watch this nonetheless. But the good news is after this evening, things quiet down, the tornado and rain threat ends, and our gusty wind threat will kind of tick down by 4 or 5 o'clock and and conditions will really improve during the overnight hours for tonight. So we're going to be looking much better as we go into your day for tomorrow. Temperatures are going to stay into the 70s for the rest of the afternoon today, with some off and on showers as the day wears on. So we're going to continue to keep you updated on that. There we go. As you can see, Futurecast showing temperatures sitting down into the 70s for the rest of today. The computer is pretty tired as well, so I think it's going to deserve a nice little reboot when we get through this weathercast here at 1. But scattered showers are going to continue for the rest of today, and then as we go into tomorrow, we're going to start to see rain chances dissipating, with rain chances going back down to 20% for Tuesday and Wednesday. And the good news is we'll start to see some sunshine. We'll dry out. It'll still be humid, but at least there won't be a hurricane nearby as we go throughout the later part of this week. Guys.
All right, thank you, Patrick. As we've previously said, all of the hotels in the area are booked.
That didn't stop evacuees from finding shelter.
Our Mia Monet joins us live in Hattiesburg to tell you more. Mia.
Hey Vanessa, earlier today when I was at the Forest County storm shelter, I met a man who evacuated from New Orleans. And when I asked him why he evacuated to the Forest County, Mississippi storm shelter, he told me it's because he had nowhere else to go. Take a listen.
So many people had taken up the hotels and the space in the other parishes like Slidell, Picayune. All the hotels was all booked up. And we just went as far out as we possibly can. And then I had a couple of friends that had a hotel here in Hattiesburg. So I just tried to stay close by them, you know, in Hattiesburg. But getting a shelter, I wasn't able to get a hotel. After seeing what other people had experienced during Katrina, I didn't want to, you know, live that or have to suffer that situation. So I booked up, I left. No, I plan on going back and rebuild. I've been through that situation with like 2 or 3 other hurricanes where we had to evacuate New Orleans and went back and rebuilt and started my life back over again, you know.
Yeah, that last thought he said when he was like, it is where his roots are. I understood that completely because it's actually where my roots are too. For those who don't know, I am born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana, so I know all too well what he's feeling and going through right now. And we're just going to keep all of those people who are in harm's way and who are trying to recover in our thoughts and our prayers. For now, reporting in Forest County, Mia Monet, WDAM on your side. Back to you.
All right, we're with you on that, Mia. Thank you so much. And speaking of Louisiana, Hurricane Ida crashed into the state last night, bringing lots of rain, which led to heavy flooding. Raising sea levels and rising sea levels have swamped the barrier island of Grand Isle, and you can see the flood waters rushing into Grand Isle Fire Department right there. A Jefferson Parish councilman also released this surveillance video showing the rising flood waters as a powerful storm devastated the area. Hurricane Ida made landfall yesterday as a Category 4 storm and has now been downgraded to a tropical storm. And winds pummeled LaPlace overnight, seriously damaging numerous buildings along the power grid. As you can imagine by looking at that video, residents who remained in their homes have been told to stay and that it could take up to 72 hours before they can emerge. Multiple roads are closed across the area due to flooding and down power lines. And there are reports of people trapped in upper floors of their homes, some even taking refuge in attics. Efforts are underway to rescue those who are trapped. Now take a look at this video on your screen. This is a shot taken in New Orleans in the French Quarter. As you can see, the building is severely damaged from Ida. Thousands of people in the state of Louisiana and the city of New Orleans remain without power. Crews from Connecticut are headed to Louisiana to help recovery efforts in the wake of Hurricane Ida. Red Cross workers will be running shelters, passing out meals, and ensuring hospitals have enough blood on hand.
That's right, Carrie. Energy provider Eversource is also sending people to help restore power. More than 857,000 customers were without power across Louisiana this morning. The Connecticut governor says this is a time when we all have to work together.
So I was telling the guys as they're about to get in the vehicles that head south, and I don't want to stand between them and a rescue, you know, be safe. Be safe, look out for yourselves, and thank God for what you're doing on behalf of the people in New Orleans. We can prepare a lot, but we can't do it all ourselves in our own state. We do have to work together. That's what mutual aid is all about. That's what these guys are doing. You're going to see a caravan. You're going to see dozens of trucks, one after the other, going down.
Meanwhile, at least one person is dead and more than 1 million are without power as Hurricane Ida pummels Louisiana.
Now, a tropical storm, as we've told you, Ida is crawling across the state, delivering heavy rain and warnings of flash flooding. Isabel Rosales is in New Orleans with more information.
Now that the sun is up, we are learning that the National Guard is conducting search and rescue missions in St. John the Baptist Parish. Here in New Orleans, the most widespread impact has been this overall total power outage, both here in the city and in the parish as well. Over in Jefferson Parish, emergency management says that one of their energy towers has collapsed and they have found power lines in the Mississippi River. That means a slow recovery. Hurricane Ida slamming into Louisiana as a Category 4 storm Sunday is one of the strongest to ever hit the state.
I don't think that there could have been a worse path for this storm. It's going to have some significant impacts.
With sustained winds as strong as 150 miles per hour and storm surge up to 15 feet, the National Weather Service warns parts of southeastern Louisiana could be uninhabitable for weeks.
This is a devastating hurricane. It's going to have catastrophic impact.
Though Ida is slowly weakening, it continues to wreak havoc as it moves north across the state. Heavy rainfall and top levees now posing flash flooding threats.
That intense rainfall, that's going to create a lot of urban flooding across many of the jurisdictions, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and all of the different localities in between. And it's going to strain the system. It's going to strain the drainage system.
Widespread power outages adding to the danger.
Some of the lines can be restored in shorter order, and then advising us that maybe it'll be a few days, but it could be a matter of weeks.
As officials prepare to assess the scope of the devastation, many worry the situation could be dire for those who stayed behind.
It seems like there's hundreds, possibly more people, trapped in their houses. So it's going to be a pretty bad scene with a lot of work to do to move quickly and safely.
And in the town of John Lafitte in South Louisiana, there's really a desperate situation going on there. 2 levees were overtopped. That storm surge getting through, creating life-threatening flash flooding. We're hearing from the mayor that 200 people are trapped there in need of urgent rescuing. In New Orleans, I'm Isabel Rosales.
The mayor of Baton Rouge speaking out, saying she feels the city was spared by Ida. Take a listen.
Well, actually, we believe that Baton Rouge was primarily spared, and we don't see a large number of folks who were involved in search and rescue, but we are assessing the situation this morning, and we have our search and rescue teams out as well as our other departments that are assessing all of the damages. But the truth is that we are really sending a lot of our resources, including our search and rescue teams, out to our neighbors in the surrounding parishes, recognizing that they received more devastation than our parish did.
Recovery efforts continue in South Louisiana, where getting in contact with loved ones has been a challenge. One man says he headed to rescue his friends who are stuck in Lafitte.
Joshua, tell us about your loved ones who's waiting.
Just hoping that they're safe and hoping we can get out there soon to them. Right now it's just a waiting game. They're not letting us out there right now.
And who is it that you have over in Lafitte?
A buddy of mine, Melvin Alderado, and his wife, Miss Mary. I don't know if they stayed or not. I'm hoping to get to them soon. A couple of people behind me have a lot of friends and family out there, so I got a fairly decent sized boat, so if I can get a couple people to ride with me, we'll check on everyone once we get out there.
Have you been in touch with anyone there calling out?
Not at all. No one has any cell phone service or anything, so it's just a waiting game.
Meanwhile, our Brandon Walker has been helping out with team coverage all throughout today. He's been checking out damage around Hattiesburg in our storm tracker. So let's check back in with him right now to see what's the latest on the damage. Brandon, how are things looking out there?
Hey, Carrie and Vanessa, still kind of out here right now, just bringing some of those conditions. If you've been tuned in with this, I've been kind of in Hattiesburg just hanging out for a majority of the morning. I was in Purvis in Lamar County earlier, especially in the overnight hours. And if you, again, have been tuned in, keeping up with those conditions, you kind of saw what was happening in Purvis overnight. Now being in Hattiesburg, now technically this is parts of Oak Grove in Lamar County as well too, where I am currently. Not a lot happening out here as far as those conditions right now. We are starting to see I'm not sure who's in the weather doing the weather right now. It could be Aaron or Patrick or Holder's really been bringing that weather as well too. But we're going to start to see those bands wrap back around the eye of Ida itself. And now we're starting to see some of those right now in Lamar County. A little bit of rain starting to make its way back in, and also some wind as well. But again, conditions have been really light. Also, traffic has also started to kind of make its way back out as well too. I just wanted to kind of travel a little bit out to Lamar County on some of these back roads so you can get an idea. But if you are making your way back out into the roads, we still having some roads that may have a little bit of debris in it. Certainly take your time and be careful with sticks and, branches and different things like that. But also be cautious that we could start to see some more rain and a little bit more wind as well. I'll toss things back in the studio, but folks, y'all still be safe out there.
Thanks, Brandon. Time right now is 12:33. Still ahead on Midday. Our newscast continues with another check of your forecast with Erin Thomas. She's standing by with a sneak peek of what we can expect. Erin, what can you tell us?
Hey there, Ida. Still a tropical storm, and we still have tropical storm warnings in effect for the Pine Belt. And as Brandon just mentioned, we could see a little bit more rain showers that are redeveloping as we're heading into later on this afternoon. We're going to time it out with our First Alert Futurecast. Take a look at what Ida's doing right now. We've got all the details. It's coming up in our First Alert forecast.
Welcome back. Our storm coverage continues in the Hub City, where our team has been out all day checking the roads.
That's right. Our Melissa Rademacher is live with Hattiesburg Mayor Toby Barker, who has an update on the latest conditions for you. Melissa.
Here in Hattiesburg with Mayor Toby Barker. It's been a long night for everyone, but how are you feeling right now? Where's the city at?
I think we're relieved. You never know what can come from these types of storms, and we all know what happened 16 years ago, and our city is no stranger to severe weather. But to come out with it how we did so far, we feel okay. I can't say enough good things about Glenmore and Forest County Emergency Management. And then the plan that our city crews put together and the work they did. Ann Jones put together a great plan. We had 50 officers out over the past 36 hours patrolling streets and making sure that when the rain started they could close off certain areas that are prone to flood. We only had one stranded motorist that we had to assist. We've cleared 12 trees so far to get roadways clear. That started at 1 a.m. this morning, so I'm very appreciative to Andy Parker and his crews, as well as all of our public works folks, and just very, very grateful for the work that was put into us, both in planning and in execution. And I hope that we're through the worst of it.
Fantastic. And what's your best advice to citizens right now as we continue through the day?
Well, right now city services are delayed. We started at noon. Garbage pickup started at 10 a.m. So if you're a Monday green can person, you need to put your can out now if you haven't already. But also just understand that we could be seeing outer bands continue to come through our area through tomorrow morning. And so please be weather aware. When it starts raining, we are prone to flood in the city. So when the rain starts, get off the roads and stay off. And then just check on neighbors and just make good decisions. We're in a very tough time right now with COVID, and hospitals are full, and we don't need to be adding to people going into the ER unnecessarily by making some bad decisions.
Well, thank you so much, Mayor Barker. Live in Hattiesburg, I'm Melissa Rademacher. WDAM on your side. I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thank you so much, Melissa, and to Mayor Toby Barker. And taking a look around the Pine Belt this afternoon, our Brandon Walker has been checking out flooding issues and damage in the Hattiesburg area. Again, we want to show you this video. He came across a tree limb split from a small tree on a home at South 15th Avenue. This is in no way significant damage. Lots of water on the roadways in this neighborhood, but Brandon did not see any flooding issues in this area as he drove the WDAM 7 storm tracker. Brandon did find a usual place for flooding along Highway 49 in South Hattiesburg. This is near the painted William Carey overpass. HPD officers were on the scene to alert drivers to the water issue on that part of the highway. And this is a spot, as you guys probably know, that tends to hold water because of the dip in the roadway. So you probably can expect that to be an issue for a little while longer and a troublesome spot today. The Jones County Sheriff's Office has reported several trees down in the county, blocking the roadways. This was the scene around 9 o'clock along Spring Hill Road in Laurel. Power crews are already on the job, making repairs as fast and as safely as possible.
Meanwhile, this is a neighborhood near University Boulevard and Cheyenne Drive in Jones County. As you can see, a tree snapped and then fell into the street, blocking traffic. The tree brought down some power lines, creating an outage for parts of the neighborhood. Emergency responders are aware and will be making repairs as soon as possible. Now, there's thousands of Mississippians without power right now. This morning, Pearl River Valley Electric had approximately 3,000 members without power. Now, Mississippi Power had just over 6,000 customers without power. There were also around 354 Dixie Electric members powerless this morning. Southern Pine Electric had more than 347 people with outages. Time right now is 12:40. Let's go ahead and check back in with Aaron Thomas, who is standing by with the latest in your forecast as we continue to track Ida. Hey, Aaron, how's everything looking?
Hey there, we are starting to see Ida that is continuing its track towards the north, starting to dry out here throughout portions of the Pine Belt. So I want to give a shout out to those linemen, those electric co-ops and those electric companies out there that have already started their restoration project as we've been starting to see this drying effect throughout mid-morning and now into this early afternoon. So as we take a look at this satellite loop, this blue line here is showing you the center of Ida. And you can see still about 40 miles southwest of Jackson, but pretty much approaching Jackson there. We've got a lot of clouds though and a lot of convection that has still been continuing throughout portions near Mobile and pushing over towards Destin and Panama City as well. But certainly areas like Biloxi and Mobile have certainly been dealing with continuous severe weather as a result of Ida. Now, of course, we've been seeing some heavy pockets of rainfall here throughout the overnight hours, but we are starting to see things drying out. Patrick, my graphics are froze. Can you advance Max 2 for me so we can take a look and see what's happening as we are taking a look at our satellite and our radar? We're going to see some continuous heavy pockets of rain and taking a look here with one of our storm cams right in West Hattiesburg. So this is pretty much the scene that we are looking at right now with you can see some rainfall that is still continuing here, kind of breezy too. If you look very closely, some of those raindrops are still continuing to kind of blow a little bit sideways. So here in West Hattiesburg, gusts up to 28 miles per hour, give or take. Same can be said near Petal as well. Watch these clouds move as Ida is continuing its track towards the north. So the good news is starting to see some of those roadways that are now drying out as we are heading through the afternoon right now. It's muggy out there, 79, 78 degrees. I mean, you step outside and I like to call it air that you can wear because it's just very muggy and very humid out here. Gusts of 25 miles per hour here in our Laurel cam. As you can see that flag whipping in the wind there. Starting to see some more traffic out there, of course. So take it easy if you do come across some ponding on the roadways. MDOT crews and our first responders have been doing a really good job of blocking off those roadways and also bringing you awareness to them as we are been heading throughout the morning and afternoon. But the good news, we're starting to see things drying out now. So we now have a current wind gust around 28 miles per hour into Moselle, 23 into Hattiesburg, down towards Tylertown, 36 miles per hour right now. So still seeing these tropical storm force winds that are continuing as Ida is tracking towards the north right now. Here is a look at our our Southern Pine Electric radar, where you can see we've got those showers still up towards McGee, Bay Springs, into Quitman, and then again over towards Leakesville, Lucedale, Wilmer, and then north of Mobile. As mentioned, those are the areas that are still dealing with U.S. storms right now. We are still seeing some warnings in effect for portions of Mississippi, but right now a lot of those flash flood warnings have been scaled back. Notice how, again, I've mentioned some portions of Alabama have been seeing continuous tornado warnings. Luckily for us, we've been really seeing things, we've really been spared, I will say, in that regard. However, not out of the clear. We still have that tropical storm warning that is remaining in effect as we are heading through the next several hours. Notice by 6 o'clock this evening, we could be looking at some redevelopment. As mentioned, there's still a lot of moisture in the air. It's muggy. Again, air that you can wear, and with that daytime heating, it's not out of the realm of possibilities to see a little bit more that continues to redevelop as we are heading into this evening, 5, 6, and 7 o'clock. Then finally, as we are heading into the overnight hours, here we are right around 1 o'clock midnight, starting to dry out. But we are going to have continuous wind gusts as we are heading through the overnight hours too. So just keep that in mind, that breezy conditions will still remain. So we'll start to dry out by midnight, but still 24, 30, 31 miles per hour with those wind gusts will not be out of the realm of possibility. And even after sunrise tomorrow, looking at 20 to 25 mile per hour winds. Finally, we see things calm down as far as those winds go as we are heading into tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. A tornado watch does remain in effect for portions of the Pine Belt, though. Wayne, Perry, Greenstone, and George County, basically the far east extreme portions of the Pine Belt included in that tornado watch, as again there's a little bit more convection over there, there's a little bit more spin within the atmosphere, so something we're going to watch. And still, as mentioned, with those breezy conditions that we've been dealing with and will continue to deal with, that still is criteria for us to be included in a tropical storm warning, meaning tropical storm force winds are possible. So generally seeing those wind gusts between 37 and up to 73 miles per hour at times. 73 miles per hour, I don't think we're going to see that, so that's some good news starting to wind down. It's primarily going to be a little bit of afternoon rain showers and some storms possible, but we'll continue to watch that here in the First Alert Weather Center as we're heading through the next several hours. Good news is dry air is starting to filter in for the time being.
All right, thank you so much, Aaron. Meanwhile, a group of radio operators worked behind the scenes here at WDAM to help during Hurricane Ida. The organization, dubbed Amateur Radio Emergency Services, is a group of volunteer licensed amateur radio operators. We're told they are trained in emergency communications to help provide communications during events like hurricanes. Through their equipment, field operators are able to send in damage reports to a central location, which is then passed to our newsroom to help inform the public of potentially dangerous areas.
We use our equipment and our knowledge to provide communications during natural disasters. Basically what we did here, we set up a VHF, or a local radio station, and an HF radio station for long-range communications. And anytime damage reports would come in, we would be able to give them to the newsroom, and they were able to use that for their broadcasts.
Gleason says about 14 local operators were in the field reporting damage back to him here at the news station.
Time right now is 12:47. Stick around with us. We have more news and weather coming up after the break.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
And welcome back. Thank you for sticking with us this afternoon.
Let's go ahead and check back in with Patrick and Aaron for another look at your forecast as we continue to track Ida.
Hey there, so still holding on to its tropical storm status as we are approaching the 1 o'clock hour. So the newest update from the National Hurricane Center is going to be coming out at the top of the hour. So we'll see its status in the next 10 minutes or so. But the latest update from the National Hurricane Center, winds of 40 miles per hour with gusts up to 50 miles per hour. And that's mainly for areas that are closer towards the core of the storm. So over towards I-55 and Jackson. But as you can see, as we take a look at this satellite loop, a lot of the Clouds are really starting to kind of wind down. We're seeing some drier air that is continuing to move into the area. So as we take a look at our first alert futurecast, not out of the realm of possibility to see a little bit more convection as we are heading into later on this afternoon. But overall, we are going to be looking at things to be quiet for the next couple of hours. But take a look at our estimated rainfall amounts that we've seen over the past 48 hours or so. If I can get my graphics to work. There we go. Okay, so now we're taking a look at with our satellite right now, zooming in towards Bay Springs, Quitman, over into Collins and the Laurel area, starting to see some of those lighter rain bands. Waynesboro, though, up towards Meridian, seeing some more of those heavier, more moderate pockets of rainfall is what we are going to call that there. Now here's a look at our estimated rainfall amounts over the past 48 hours or so. So generally, we've seen a lot of rain for areas to the south of Hattiesburg, 5.5 inches up to closer towards 10 and even 13 inches. Now, these are just radar estimated amounts, but it still gives you that idea of what we have seen throughout portions of the Pine Belt. And even some of those counties to the north, those have started to really fill in too throughout the mid-morning and now as we're heading into the afternoon with closer to 4.5 to 5 inches of rain. Good news is now that we're drying out, we've seen flash flood advisories and warnings really scaled back. So those areas you see highlighted in green still included in those flash flood warnings, but that's mainly out of the WDAM Weather Center. Still though, gusts are continuing. We've got 40 miles per hour there in Collins, 37 in Columbia, and 40 in McGee. Let's take it over to Patrick and we'll take a look at what to expect as we're heading through the rest of this afternoon.
Yeah, Aaron, we're going to be tracking some much better weather coming in here. As you said, we got dry air coming in on the backside of Ida, and that's why we're starting to see the rain get out of here. So futurecast over the next couple of hours paints a picture like this. So we're going to see maybe a few more thunderstorms developing. It is still a very soupy air mass, and as the day goes on, we may see some showers and thunderstorms moving into our eastern counties, but for the most part, the good chunk of the Pine Belt is going to dry out. The rest of Ida moves off towards the north, and things will really start to quiet down as we go into this evening and especially into the overnight hours for tonight. Now, tomorrow we're going to see a better day, and it's going to be a little bit more sunshine, and definitely we're going to get rid of these gusts as well. They'll still be kind of breezy as we go into the afternoon, 20, 30, 35 mile an hour wind gusts possible this afternoon. But notice how things really start to relax as we go into your day tomorrow, and tomorrow is going to be a much better afternoon. Rainfall amounts still anywhere from about maybe 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch, but with things kind of trending down, that's some good news. We've had a lot of rain. Aaron just showed you some of the rainfall totals. Even down towards the south, we had some rainfall totals as high as 8, 9, even closer to 10 inches down towards the coast. So we got plenty of rain. We got plenty of rain from the storm. We don't need any more, and that's what we're going to get, not anymore. So very good news there as we go into the rest of the afternoon. We'll see skies kind of partly cloudy, temperatures kind of holding steady into the mid to upper 70s as we go into the rest of the afternoon. Still going to be humid. Remember, we got a tropical system on top of us, so the air mass is going to be very tropical here across South Mississippi and into the Pine Belt. Now, as we go into tomorrow, much better weather returns to the area. Maybe a stray shower or two, but we will see some sunshine. Temperatures are going to start to creep back up into the upper 80s, and eventually we'll get into the right at 90 degrees by your day on Wednesday. And temperatures are going to hold steady generally into the mid 80s as we go into the tail end of the week. Maybe a few showers for tomorrow and into Wednesday, only about a 20% chance, and then things kind of dip down as we go towards Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So the good news here is as we begin to clean up, we're going to see some much better weather. Still going to be muggy. I will say that. It's still going to be muggy, but at least we don't have a hurricane bearing down on top of us, and we do have the sunshine returning to help us out here across the area. Guys, back over to you.
All right, thanks so much to Aaron and Patrick. Before midday, I spoke with Commissioner of Public Safety Sean Tyndall, and he told us we are very lucky, but there is still damage to take care of from southwest Mississippi to the Pine Belt all the way to the coast. He says it's been a busy 48 hours, and all hands have been on deck for the Mississippi Department of Public Safety, Highway Patrol, Bureau of Narcotics agents, and more assisting local law enforcement.
I can tell you I live down here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast and really feel like we've dodged a bullet. There's still some damage, and there's trees in the road and limbs in the road and flooding. But when you look at the damage that was received in Louisiana, we're very fortunate.
And so just talk about, you said you trees in the road and a little bit of damage. You also mentioned that you felt that you guys dodged a bullet. So just kind of paint the picture for the people here in the Pine Belt of what the coast looks like and what you may also be seeing or hearing about from the Pine Belt.
Well, I can tell you on the coast that, you know, we did have some flooding. The storm surge did come up over Highway 90 in certain parts of the coast. Also, some of the areas of Back Bay and past Christiane and Bay St. Louis flooded, areas up the Jordan River. Of course, in the Pine Belt, you know, there's been some fallen trees, fallen limbs. Right now, our crews are out assisting the Mississippi Department of Transportation in clearing our highways. I know Picayune had some wind damage, some stores downtown had some awnings taken off and damage to the roof. So there's been some damage, but all in all, compared to even what we saw last year with Hurricane Zeta, a little bit lighter as far as the damage goes. But I would caution folks about getting out on the road too soon. You know, again, crews are out fixing electrical lines, removing debris from the road, making sure that everything's clear. And I would encourage folks to stay home as long as they can until the first responders can get out and do the jobs that they do, making the area safe.
All right. Is there anything else you want to add to let the public know as we just sit and wait out the little bit that's left of Ida?
Just, you know, take care of your family and appreciate your loved ones and know that a lot of the folks, particularly when you get over into Hancock County and over into Louisiana, there might be some folks that need some help. So if you want to volunteer, there'll be numerous opportunities to do that, and don't go down there too soon, and make sure that it's safe before you do.
Meanwhile, many people across southern Louisiana are concerned and wondering what's next.
That includes college students from Louisiana. Mia Monet is live at USM to explain.
Hey guys, I have with me Soraya Bonds. Not only is she a University of Southern Miss student, she is also a New Orleans native. So Soraya, please talk to me a little bit. Tell me, how is your family doing and did they leave?
My family did not leave. I have a lot of family who stayed behind in New Orleans East End as well as the West Bank and Slidell. They are frustrated, my family in New Orleans, because they are without power at the moment. And they are helping each other out. Thankfully, they have snacks and food, so they're good in that department, but they are still frustrated with being without power.
So does this whole ordeal bring back any memories for you from past times, especially because you're sitting and watching as your city is being ripped through by a hurricane?
Yes, it brings back a lot of different memories of evacuating to Alabama, not knowing how we were going to be safe, where we were going to go, and also just watching the city get torn to pieces from watching the news. So my heart goes out to those in LaPlace because I know firsthand on what it's like for your home to be destroyed and for the levees to break. It's a devastating experience and it's quite scary.
Well, there you have it, folks. We'll keep trying to bring you the latest that we can on people in Louisiana or from